Hey there everyone. This video is going to talk about rules of exponents, and I'm going to kind of walk through and explain each of the main rules. So the first rule we have is the product rule. So product always is associated with two things that are multiplied together. So if we have x to the a times x to the b, we can add the exponents, x to the a plus b. So for example, if we have x to the fourth times x to the third, that's the same as x to the 4 plus 3, so that's x to the 7th. If we do it a little more specifically, so the point is that the number x has to be the same, the variable. So if I did it as a number, 3 to the 4th times 3 to the 3rd is the same as 3 to the 4 plus 3, which is 3 to the 7th. X, that 3 and that 3 are the same. What we can't do is have two different variables. We can't say x to the 4th times y to the 3rd equals x y to the 7th. That is incorrect. I'm going to do big red, no. Instead, our final answer is just actually x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Because x and y are different variables, we can't combine them using this rule. So the next one is going to be the quotient property. Quotient is associated with division. And that's the same thing, but just kind of in the inverse, in the opposite way. If we have a number x to the b, say x to the, let's do x to the 5th over x to the 3rd, that's going to be x to the 5 minus 3, which is x squared. Another way to think about that is, let me just move some of this out of the way. If I have x to the 5th over x to the 3rd, that's the same as 5x's on top over 3x's. And so these x's are just going to cancel out, and you get x squared. Same thing applies as above. We can't say x to the 5th divided by y to the 3rd. Those don't cancel out. That just stays exactly as it would be. The next one's going to be the power of a power rule. So if we have x to the a to the b, so we have some kind of number to an exponent to another exponent, then we multiply. So if I've got x to the 4, that whole thing to the 3rd, then I've got x to the 4 times 3, which is x to the 12th. Again, you can do that because we're basically saying x to the 4th is that, and we have 3 groups of those. And after you write all that out, you see that there are 12 x's. The next one's going to be the negative exponent rule. So that's if I have x to the negative number, so say negative 5, that's the same as the flipped, the inverse fractions. So that's the same as x to the negative 5 is the same as 1 over x to the positive 5. And then finally, we have the zero exponent, where any value to a 0 power is going to equal 1. So if I have 5 to the 0, it equals 1. If I have x to the 0, it equals 1. If I have y to the 0, it equals 1. If I have 184 to the 0, it's going to equal 1.